Welcome to 2RightAngles, your guide to creative advertising and junior advertising portfolios. We are your hosts. I am Sarah.
And I'm Francesca. We're the two women behind Book 180, the first global 6-month, all online, 100% female-owned portfolio program. Every show is going to feature two creative industry leaders discussing their current favorite workout in the world. And then we'll review a junior creative portfolio together.
So join us as we highlight good work, great agencies, and ways to improve your portfolio so you can land your dream job in advertising. So today our two guests are senior creative team, copywriter Taylor Smith and art director Alex Ebright from Cutwater. Cutwater is headquartered in San Francisco. They also have a location in New York where Alex is, but Taylor actually works remotely. She's based out of Austin, Texas. They work across a variety of brands together, including Hart's Pet Care, Russell Stover, and Dermapen, which is a medical skincare device.
We met Taylor when she was in portfolio school many years ago. After she graduated, she worked in Chicago at agencies like Havas and Wunderman Thompson. And then she moved to Austin, where she worked at agencies like Bakery and then remotely for Cutwater. Alex is a career pivoter, actually, so we'll definitely have to ask her about that. She came into this industry after working in real estate and has worked at some awesome New York agencies like Joan, Deutsch, and now, of course, Cutwater.
Thank you both so much for being here. We're really, really pumped to have you both here. Like, we've known Taylor for so long, and she's been talking about you, Alex, all good things, but it's nice to finally meet you.
It really is.
Nice, great to be here. Thank you guys so much for asking us.
Yeah, of course. So Cutwater is a very small independent agency. They're
in San Francisco, and then there are other offices in New York and Times Square.
That's very cool. And then Taylor, you work remotely though, out of Austin.
Yes. So when I got hired, it was still 2021, and I think pretty much the entire agency had not gone back to the office yet. So I kind of thankfully locked in a sweet deal of working remotely. But I would say that they're pretty flex, because Alex, you've been working remotely as well too, right?
Yeah, I have been. I was living in New York up until November of last year, and all the pandemic rebound of prices pushed me out of my apartment. So I've been living 50 miles outside the city, and we haven't been forced to go back to the office. And honestly, our creative team's everywhere. We're Taylor's in Austin, the other art directors in Chicago. So but cool. I think the benefit of going into the office is less so for the creative team because we're everywhere anyway. I could go with a count, I guess.
Do a good job of trying to get people. I'll go up to New York once a year, or if it's this past year I was there in January, and then I was there again in February, and I was also there in December of last year for the Christmas party. So I've gotten to meet everyone in the New York office at least, and I've gotten to meet, Chuck, the CCO, and Christian, the CEO, which has been nice. I still haven't met anyone in the SF office yet, and that's in the works to kind of get, because our creative director, Amy Sue, is in SF now. So Alex and I are, it's weird. I'm currently the only senior copywriter at the agency still. Which is good and stressful at times. Thankfully, I have a junior copywriter that is stellar, and he's gotten a lot of opportunities, which I think is great. And that's what I love about independent agencies is the opportunities really present themselves a lot more, and you get to touch a lot of different things rather than just being stagnant on one client for forever.
And then Alex, you were a career pivoter. Tell us about that. What inspired that decision?
I keep saying this, I was born in 1985. I don't know if there was a worse time to be born than 1985. So when I got out of school, I got a Bachelor of Fine Arts from the Maryland Institute College of Art. So I came out with a textile degree, couldn't get a job in textiles that paid more than $10 an hour. So I got a job actually working for a letterpress wedding invitation company because I had a whole suite of design capabilities in addition to doing textiles. And it was 2008. We all know what happened in 2008.
Yeah.
Yeah, I lost that job within like 3 months. And then I was like, oh, cool. I have all these student loans. I have to pay them. So I started working retail. I worked up through management there. I did sales. And I always wanted to live in New York City. And I was just like, all right, screw it. Like, I'm going to pack my life in a car and move there. And I was able to transfer with J. Crew at the time because I was a
So
personal
cool.
stylist.
That's really nice.
And yeah, so I moved to New York. I did the whole live in a fifth floor walk up in Greenwich Village thing. And I pivoted into real estate because I was already doing sales. So I started selling like $1 million apartments in New York City, which definitely paid better. But interestingly, like the process of selling apartments is kind of like an entry drug into just marketing in general because I'm showing up to people's houses, staging their houses, cleaning them out, directing the photo shoots, doing all the marketing materials, doing all the social media for our team. So I was doing all this stuff and like that was the stuff I liked. Like not I like sales, like but sales is kind of the same thing at the end of the day. Like it's a good skill to have, but like to me it wasn't the interesting part. So I was doing all this other stuff. Meanwhile, all my friends like that had been graphic design majors are now all creative directors. And I'm like, I think I might I don't know what an art director is, but I think I might be one basically.
Yeah.
So I started researching Miami Ad School, and they had a location in New York. And I went back in 2019, quit my job, quit everything, took out the loans, like did the whole thing because I was like, I can't do that. I can't be the old lady on Park Avenue chain smoking cigarettes, selling co-ops. Like that's not what it's not me. Like love her. But it's
Although you would look great doing it.
I mean, you know, those old ladies make a lot of money. Like it's a lucrative career, but it wasn't for me. And then as soon as I entered the ad world, like suddenly, you know, when you find the right thing, you're like, I have so many more friends that I met at work. Oh my God, people are really cool.
Yeah.
And it was just so very different from my day to day in real estate versus in advertising.
Alex also admitted that she was on a TV show that is very popular at one point while she was a real estate agent.
I was on $1 Million List.
Oh my gosh.
I forget the actual episode, but it's season 8 of New York $1 Million.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love it. Such a cool background.
Really cool background. And I think that the book we'll be reviewing today is actually perfect for this because the writer, his name is David Knuckles. We'll introduce him in a little while, but he's in New York and he's also a career pivoter. So it's interesting that you guys have similar career pivoting backgrounds. So do you guys have anything out in the world right now that you're loving, like work-wise? It can be something you've done, that Cutwater's done, or something just totally different that you love out there.
I think I speak for Alex and I together when we say, so we a year ago worked on Dermapin World, and we, you know, that was the first project that Alex and I had like creatively led. We, you know, from concept to finish, like really had a hand in every single thing. And I would love for Alex to talk a little bit about visually because it was a really visual driven approach that we took.
I think Dermapin was so cool because we didn't have a creative director on it. Yeah, we literally got tossed to the wolves, and we managed to sell this specific visual approach. We honestly sold this whole campaign on one GIF. Like it was the basis of this campaign was this one GIF that I found from a director that I had worked with previously, and I was like, this is really cool. Can we, you know, lift this and make this work for Dermapen? Because we had a whole skincare line. We had this weird gun-shaped device. We had all of these things we had to show in a very short amount of time and get it across. And like the GIF was the perfect answer, but we had to go like arm wrestle to the mat to get this and get it through because like it wouldn't have been the same campaign. Like the essence of the campaign visually was this GIF, and we had to throw up those to get the director we wanted and make the work we wanted to make. And it's cool to see it now. Like their Dermapen World's Instagram grid is just like turning over to the work we did. So you can see if you go to their Instagram, like how very different the approach was from when they started to where they are now with what we did for them. Especially with the color palette, like the client wound up losing their minds over the introduction of the skin tones, because like that was the basis of this. Like this device doesn't matter what your skin tone is, skin texture, like the device works across everything. So we brought this palette to them and they were so excited, and it looks so beautiful visually. I think that's really like my background as a painter and dealing with color, I think really helps me too as an art director.
The whole team that worked on it, from like the studio to the photographer to the producers and even account people and the client, they really fought for this really cool brand campaign. And that's a piece of work that Alex and I are really proud of, that is starting to make its way out in the world, that we can like finally talk about.
They loved it so much they painted like their entrance wall in their office in Australia with the color palette. So
that is so sweet.
That's
cool.
Awesome. Yeah,
that's really cool.
I think one other like piece of work that we've put out that I like as a writer, that I actually got to see through as well and go on production for, was for Hearts. We had, this was their first like big brand campaign for several different products. So I think at the shoot we were shooting 4 different spots in like 4 days in LA. And this script was particularly for their flea and tick collars. And Sarah, I think I've definitely told you about this one, but if we treat our pets like our kids, we always want them to be protected. We want them to know about protection. But again, having kids comes with the territory of the birds and the bees, or in our case, it was the ticks and the fleas.
Hey, buddy. Listen, before you head out, we need to talk about protection. So I didn't get you just any flea and tick collar. I got you a Hearts UltraGuard Pro Max. It's soft and stretchy. You won't even know it's on while you're out there romping around. Maybe with some strays who might not be protected. So keep your whiskers clean. Be home before dark.
Keep them comfortable with the soft and stretchy full body protection of Hearts UltraGuard Pro Max flea and tick collars.
It's funny because I think, especially when you work for, lesser known brands, it's like they really want you to push product speak in every commercial. And it's like, how can we fit like 15 different RTBs in a 30-second commercial? Like, as like advertising as it sounds, it's really like it's that like kind of awkwardness that any parent is like, hey, before you go hang out with your boyfriend, I got you these Trojan Magnums. Like, they're really cool and you should use them. And so that was like the whole, we're literally, this is like a condom commercial. And like, we were very open with the client about that. And I would say that client's a bit more conservative. So it was like such a win to like get that sold in.
Well, I loved how in those spots, like, yeah, you have to do all the advertising jargon, but like it's meant to be campy and you can like just lean into campy, you're mocking something so you can be advertising. That was such a good idea. Both of those spots.
I think too, like thinking about work that, is out in the world that we didn't do, but that we do take inspiration from, is like the Liberty Mutual ads. I feel like they're doing a good job of like, it's honestly like, I always think of advertising as just like an inside joke with other advertisers, because like people literally pay to skip ads. Like nobody likes ads. Like we're literally doing all of this like essentially for ourselves and whatever. And it's like making fun of these like strategic insights or like focus groups.
Research shows people remember heartwarming ads. So to help you remember that Liberty Mutual customizes your home insurance, here's a touching moment.
I want to give you something very special that I wore on my wedding day.
Liberty Mutual customizes your home insurance, so you only pay for what you need.
love you, Mom. I love you too.
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
It's like you add in all this jargon, and it's like to the regular person, it's like, what? But like to an advertiser, it's like, this is so good. So
100%.
it's all an inside joke for advertisers, but
It absolutely is. And then we give each other awards every year. That's what.
yeah, that nobody else knows about. It's so fun. Alex and I were FaceTiming before this, and I had just like opened up LinkedIn, and this as of like 17 hours ago. Wyden and Kennedy obviously has like Instagram, and they got this brief to launch Instagram's like close friends feature. And I think like promote it a little bit more, because I feel like not everyone uses close friends or really knows how to like add close friends. But they asked Lil Yachty to add all 11.4 million of his followers to his close friends list, and then like post 2 days. And it like blew up. It's in magazines, like music magazines, TikTok, Reddit, X.
That's so good.
World Star even picked it up. And I think like doing, and like there's so many people that are fans of Lil Yachty that were on his close friends, like tweeting about it. And is it Xing now, I guess? Okay, whatever. Tweeting about
tweeting.
And like it just got so much. And I think that like that sort of thing is such a good example of like advertising outside of, like typical TV or print, or, just like outside of those typical mediums to get people talking. And that was just something that we had come across this morning that we thought was pretty cool. But Alex, if there's anything else that you like in the world that we didn't do.
I mean, no, I think anything that uses a utility that already exists in a different way. I think that's like always the smartest executions are always that like simple, easily explainable thing.
Yes.
And yeah, it's just the best. I think the other thing, I'll bring up an old piece of work, right? There's this piece of work that I always bring up when people ask me what your like work that you love, and it's Flash Drives for Freedom, which is from 2016, but they're still doing it. Like it's still an active campaign, and it's basically people donate for flash drives where they put information on it and send the flash drives to North Korea to basically share information.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
It is. Did Mohan Chatterjee do that, Sarah? He used
I
to be
don't
an
know. Yeah, it sounds really familiar that he would have done it. I feel like I vaguely heard about this back in like 2016, 17, but I haven't thought about it since. But it is so smart.
Again, with like the simple execution, like it's so simple, and you connect the fact that people in North Korea have, they have devices they can plug thumb drives into, like so easy, and how cheap are thumb drives,
right?
So.
And I mean, if it's going on like 6 to 7 years later, it's got to be working. Like they're really helping people get information that they weren't allowed access to.
Absolutely.
I think that's always like awesome. The gold standard in advertising is being able to come up with like an idea like that actually makes real change. Real change in some way. So I continue to go back to the website to see how many flash drives they've sent, how much information they've sent, because I just think it's so cool.
That's so cool.
Wow. And speaking of like of campaigns like that, actually in David's book that we're reviewing later, his class inequality for Google Fonts like was absolutely insane. Like it's
one of my favorite campaigns from that whole semester.
That one is like, I think not only just like visually really beautiful, and like the story behind the video and like the insight and execution and everything was great, but it is actually something that they turned into a campaign that can be actionable like that.
Yeah, let's watch the Google Fonts one real quick, just so everybody can watch it too, because I agree. It blew me away when I saw this. They entered it for the D&AD New Blood Awards, and it won Best of Semester's Typography because it was just such a smart use of typography. Like we tell students all the time, like use the things at your disposal, create campaigns that you're using the medium or the, whatever, the imagery in like a really smart way that makes sense. And I've never seen such a smart use of typography.
I think that needs to be like first in his book. It's such a good insight, such a good like actionable campaign, and like I love that even the art director did a great job on this too. That with the color scheme too, it's like
it feels young and primary, but in an elevated way. I agree. Yep.
And I think the extension of having pre-made or like pre-written emails to your congressman was genius, because so many people will, you'll see on social media like call your congressman, or like call this person or email this person, and it's like I think it's human nature to be like yeah I'm gonna fight for that, I want to do that, but then it's like taking the actual time to do that,
or not knowing how to do it.
Or not even knowing how to. And I think having that like QR code to make it easy access to just like scan, send is so smart.
Absolutely. Well, we'll get into David's book. So David Knuckles here. He was a fall 22 graduate of Book 180. So pretty recent graduate of Book 180. So you can check out his book here at davidknuckles.com. And he is truly fantastic. We love him. He's in New York right now. He's currently looking for his first junior role. As I'm sure you both know, the market's pretty tough out there right now.
Oh, yeah.
But we think his book is really, really funny. We know he's going to land somewhere awesome. But would love to know what you guys thought. Like when you get to his homepage, what is your first thought?
I was like, I should probably know who this guy is that I'm seeing. And I felt like, I was like, I'm a dork, because I feel like this is some sort of iconic photography I should know.
I honestly didn't know who it was at first either. It's
Bob Dylan.
Bob Dylan. Yes. Yeah.
But no, I didn't like completely know at first either. But then I was like, oh yeah, that's it. Because he's obviously very into music and stuff. So it definitely like speaks to.
No, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. No, I like the way that, especially because he's a copywriter, correct?
Yes.
I love the way that he took a visual that unified like all of his work. Like I think that's a great thing to do, especially as a junior, to take some approach to your homepage that sort of unites all this work, because it's probably not, it's not all the work that you want to be doing. It's not all the brands you want to be on just yet. So like leading with something creative like this, I think is great. And also invited me to just click randomly. I also liked that. And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to click on. I don't know what I'm about to see. So that was fun. Like he did a great job.
Yeah. I really like that he kind of uses these taglines as his, key image, but then when you kind of hover over it, it has the actual product or brand, which is nice. I thought that was fun because I think it kind of lends a little bit of curiosity to whoever's viewing it. And yeah, his attempting to get paid button, I think it's always really funny to have something like, very quippy as a button that, gets people curious again and want to click on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this part of his book is so funny.
I love this.
Oh,
it's so funny.
Alex and I were reading through all of these and just like cracking up. Like David, you have inspired me to completely redo my portfolio for the 5th time.
You know what always gets you hired is your not ad shit. It's always the not ad shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like advertisers were like, oh, I guess I'll look at some ads, but like I want to see your weird stuff. Like,
yeah. And this is so fun too, because like as a copywriter, and I think probably most creative writers can agree, friends and family always ask us to write stuff for them.
Yes.
And
it feels
it's
like such a truth. Yeah.
Like someone just asked me if I would help them write a book, and I was like, what? Like, do you want me to go for the book? Like, are you gonna pay me? Like, so the fact that he's like selling this, like typical, like, can you write this for me, is like so good. It's so funny, especially, like it almost like lends this like dark humor to the state of the economy right now, and just like the horrible market that advertising is right now. It's like everyone is doing these things to like, make their way, and it shows a lot of drive and positivity despite what's going on. So I really loved that. And his About Me page. So one of my colleagues that I actually worked with at Havas Chicago, who hired me there, she has been the talent recruiter at Havas. She's been the talent recruiter at Wieden & Kennedy. Now she's the head of talent at Translation. She was actually reviewing my portfolio earlier this year, and she was saying, if you don't always like the work that you're getting produced for a client that's in your portfolio, your About Me page has got to be funny and very representative of you. And I think that really stuck with me, because you get like two sides of the spectrum, I feel like, in About Me pages, and like some of them are like, so and so is a copywriter who has been here, and it's like this third person bio.
Yeah.
And which I feel like isn't a bad thing, especially as you get older and more awarded or more experienced as like an ECD or something like that. But as you're kind of working your way either into advertising or up in advertising, she was just really emphasizing how important it is for a recruiter to be able to read your About Me page and laugh and see your personality and your writing style come out in your About Me page, whether it's really, really short, one sentence, like a funny one-liner, or a paragraph, or, whatever. And I started reading his About Me, and it wasn't until I got to like Sweet Feet Livingston where I was like, and then I like kept reading, and then it was like, wait, this is the plot of Holes, and I died. And then it's like, talking about his cat Seymour, and we've been working on this new campaign for Delectables, and we've been researching all of these like really weird, funny cat behaviors, and it's like reading about his cat like sneezing and then forgetting that it sneezed and then licking the sneeze.
I know. The tuna.
Like, so true. It's so funny. I mean, I loved his About Me page. If his About Me page doesn't get him hired, then advertising at a
I mean,
major level.
he's spoken to recruiters like that, like literally contacted him because of his amazing About Me page.
It's so
Just thought it-
Oh, it's
like
so
never
good.
something
So
like
good.
that before. It's so
Yeah.
cool.
I know. The plot, I mean, it's funny because like I had the same exact reaction as you when you first showed me this, where I was like 3 or 4 sentences into it and I was like, wait, what? Because you just don't expect it. I think that's what it is. It like delights you so much because you don't see misdirects like that on About Me pages ever.
No.
Yeah. No. I also really is so funny because I'm trying to quit vaping.
Yeah.
That's where advertising has led me a nicotine addiction.
Yeah.
But no, the Truth Initiative was absolutely hilarious. And
Yeah, we
love
loved that one.
I love the use of bringing back these old ads too, because it's like I think what Gen Z and even like, you know, millennials too, it's like we weren't really exposed to these types of ads back in the day, and unless you've seen Mad Men, you know.
Yep.
Right.
But bringing this back with vapes is hilarious. Like my favorite line, like where there's a man, there's a vape, because puffing on top of fruity gas is not much tougher. Like even if it's something that he didn't initially write that they're pulling, it's like, you know, so funny because it's true. And I live in Austin where everybody vapes. Like you go out to any bar and you just like see people with their Elf bar or you know their or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's a little epidemic, and like I'm trying to quit, and I thought that was just like such a great use of like a piece of history.
Yeah, and it's smart. It's interesting. So if anybody's interested in how these like sort of developed, I agree they're such a smart strategy. Where the insight was, you know, we didn't know at the time how bad cigarettes were for us. It took 20 more years of research before we really could know. And same with vapes now. You like they might be better for us than cigarettes, but they might not be. We just don't fully know yet. And so we don't have the, you know, people who are old with lung cancer yet, you know? And so they added the don't let history repeat itself like to it, because that was the strategy part that was left out kind of originally. And I think it's really, really smart. It's a smart way to take the campaign. And it's a fun, lighthearted way. It doesn't feel preachy. You know, it doesn't feel like they're just scolding you for vaping. It just is like kind of raising awareness in your mind. Like maybe I should second guess if I think this is good.
I think Mojo's Supermarket actually does a lot of work for Truth Initiative, and Mo, if you're watching this, you need to hire.
I'll just like tag him in the LinkedIn post.
Check this out.
I know, so good. It's so good.
And I mean, I also loved Home Depot. Alex, I know you had some thoughts on this one too.
Yeah,
I loved this and their approach to this in comparison to every other Home Depot project I've ever seen. I think was really smart. Like it was a really solid insight. We all do have junk drawers, and this is actually a real actionable thing I could see them doing. Also, because the things that you're getting back from Home Depot, like this isn't like pie in the sky made up. Like it's not as if you're going in and getting a whole, you know, deck done for your junk drawer. No, you're getting a paintbrush. Like these are all, like the exchange makes sense. Like the idea makes sense.
Yeah.
It is also beautifully art directed. I don't know what you guys are feeding your art directors at Book 180, but keep doing it.
They're doing a great job.
Really lucky with some fantastic students and lots. And this, like both semesters have truly blown our minds in terms of layout. It's really been great.
Really great. Yeah. Really great. Really lets his outline. I think his headlines are awesome. You get the idea. It's a quick get. Like I think it's like so simple, but like I think its simplicity also like really helps it get that deeper message across of like, I think one way that I interpreted it too is I think advertising's, you know,
kind of like poetry in a way. It's like very open for interpretation, especially as more simple as the idea gets.
Yep.
And I think the truth of like home ownership is declining. Nobody can really afford anything. You know, everybody, I scroll on TikTok and I see, you know, like 10 different videos in a row of people being like, how is anyone affording anything right now? Which it really sucks, but we're all kind of in this same boat right now. And like this idea of changing this sentiment of having old junk and like, you know, whether you own your house or not, if you rent or whatever, it's like, regardless, it's sitting on a pile of gold. And I loved that. Like, again, it's kind of like what we've been talking about. It's like pulling that positive out of a negative situation, which I think is like what humanity needs right now, especially in advertising, and like, you know, doing something good to evoke change and like help other humans. I mean, that's all that our existence is about, is just like helping one another. And I think this is, you know, not only just a good, well executed idea, it's again like establishing that that need for change and helping others and like making a positive out of something so small that we might not even realize is, you know, worth anything. I think it's really smart. And yeah, I think a tweak maybe to the problem could make it a little bit more for a wider audience of like, I think it's true that like, especially Gen Z and millennials kind of have this mindset right now. Like, what am I saving for? What am I even like trying, like, what goals am I even setting for myself? Because it's not like I'm ever going to be able to buy a home with like what I'm making or paying off student loans. It's like we kind of have this negative mindset of like never being able to buy a dream home. It's like making wherever we're at the dream home. And having an opportunity to like make our space as good as we want with the resources that we have. This book is honestly, I think the best student book I've ever seen.
Oh my gosh, that's gonna make David's day. I agree. It's really, really strong. We've seen the writing. He is about me. But he and Macy Gonzalez, an art director, classmate of his, now a colleague, I suppose, of his, worked after school even on some work to support the SAG-AFTRA strike happening in Hollywood. And I really think that these lines are outstanding.
Oh, they're so fun.
This was cracking me up, but these are really great.
It's I just love how it shows like how hungry they both are too. You know, that they finished their program and they're still like excited about work and like want to talk about issues that are going on. I love that they both like just did that on their own and added it to their books too.
Yeah.
It's so beyond that, like, and it's so funny to think that like obviously this is a huge issue for writers because they need to get paid what they're worth, obviously. But from like the general public's point of view, it's like I just really want to see a new movie. Like, you know, like they really hit on like a truth there.
You know, just rewatch after rewatch. I loved these lines. And I think I'm just a huge fan of longer copy ads because I love something that makes me stop and read. And especially when it's funny like this and something that is like easily relatable.
I love a good universal truth, not even in the big idea, but in each individual headline. And there is every single one of these lines is so true. There's 100 movies about like, you know, the dad and the mom and their honor roll children, or, you know, it's so funny.
My very first job as a junior at Havas, John Norman was the chief creative officer. I love John Norman. He's great. And I just always remember how passionate he was about it, you know, whether it's like new business or a new brief or a new like small project, whatever it was, he just like really harped on the idea that all good work has a human truth that at least someone can relate to, and like especially your target audience. And I think that is not only what inspires a really great strategy and a really great brief, but like that inspires this work because, you know, people always say, oh, I miss the days of good advertising. But it's like, I feel like clients sometimes struggle to like really understand their audience in a way that they can, you know, help develop a brief that is really rooted in a human truth and not just products. And I think,
Yeah.
like going back to the Heart's unconditional love thing, the reason that script was funny and good despite the ad jargon was because it is a human truth. Like you have the protection talk with your actual kids, like, and you care about your pets just as much as your kids, if not they are your kids, you know? So it's like finding those little things that people can laugh at and relate to, and when they see it on TV or in a magazine or on social, it's like, oh my gosh, like I totally do that. That's what, to me, even as a consumer and not just an advertiser, makes me want to interact with that brand, and that has purchasing power.
Yeah.
Totally.
That's such a smart point, Taylor. And like, it actually just takes us really well into the last part of this podcast, which is, you know, if there's one thing that we could take away and one piece of advice we could give junior creatives coming out of portfolio school or just trying to build a portfolio on their own, like, I think that having a universal truth in every single piece of work, like, is truly the best advice that you can give. And it's done in every single one of these campaigns, like junk swap. Everybody has a junk drawer. Class inequality. If you don't have the right funding, like opportunities and are going to be blocked for you educationally, you know, truth initiative. We don't know if like e-cigs and like are going to be bad for us and vapes, you know, like we just don't know yet, just like they didn't know back in the day. And then, you know, even in his extra work, you can just see truth after truth after truth, like coming out of his work.
Totally.
I love it. I love to see it.
So
Alex, did you have any advice for student portfolios or juniors?
For students or juniors, like I said, it's always the random thing that gets you hired. It's always been the thing that's gotten me hired. So if you are looking for a job and you are a junior, like put your weird things in there, like do something. So just be honest about it. Like I got hired at Cutwater because Adam and Scott both worked at VH1, and they worked on and I do album design and music covers in my free time because I love it. But literally, that's why they wanted to talk to me. It wasn't like, not that my ads aren't good, but like they were like, oh, I want to hang out with this person because we have a shared interest. So I think absolutely you can show of who you really are, like, because we could all come up with an idea, an insight, and a solution. We can all do that, but you have to want to hang out with those people for very long hours. So the more they can see you, the better.
Truly.
Well, thank you guys so much. It was so nice to meet you in person, like virtually, Alex, and be connected. And Taylor, it's always lovely to see you.
I love you guys.
We've had such good contacts, and thank you to David for letting us go through your portfolio. And we are so excited and can't wait to see where you end up in NYC.
Yes,
I know, can't wait to see it. But thank you.
Congrats on finishing, David. Great book. Great
book, David. Inspiring.
You have me intimidated, so I'm gonna go fix mine.
Redo our books real fast.
You're gonna make his day.